Hello, my friends on YouTube. Today, once again, we'll speak about unmasking Muhammad, part 2. But before we start, I'd like to speak quickly on what's happening in the news about Iran. Because before we spoke about uh, your, North Korea will be the first to deal with Iran and then Pakistan. Uh, we can see that the president of Iran is warning um, Donald Trump that his end might be like Saddam Hussein. That what we call in the Middle Eastern culture kind of like showing off that I have muscles, but this is exactly like a mouse is challenging a lion. The mouse is warning the lion, I'll cut you to pieces and I'll eat you for dinner. That is normal before they submit. So my understanding from the Middle Eastern culture, they are on their way to bow down. Okay, let's start with the unmasking of Muhammad, part 2. We'll speak about a person in the Islamic history, an educated person who was called al-Nadr ibn al-Harith. And this man was also a very well-educated man. And it seems to be Muhammad was very anxious to get rid of the well-educated people in Arabia around him because they were very dangerous. They had knowledge, and to him knowledge is dangerous because it will make his people who believe in him rethink. And he didn't want that very much because if you think you could leave him, then there is no business. He cannot make business. He cannot go out and fight other tribes and loot their money. He needs the army. And if the army leaves him, then he is lost. So always when somebody challenged Muhammad, if he doesn't come to follow him, if he shuts his mouth and doesn't say anything, that's probably okay. But to speak against him, especially when you are educated and you speak with knowledge and you know what you are talking about, this is dangerous. So who was al-Nadr ibn al-Harith? This man whom Muhammad killed. Of course, Muslim scholars now try to make excuses that no, the story is not accurate 100%. No, if it was not accurate, it would not be in the Islamic books. They would actually get rid of it. No, it is accurate. All right? And Muhammad did worse things. I mean, the first person we spoke of, all the stories were accurate. His name was Ka'b ibn al-Ashraf, and he killed him. And he was very much in the same category as this man, al-Nadr ibn al-Harith. Both of them, they were very well educated people. And both of them, they were poets. And both of them spoke against Muhammad that what he has is a nonsense. He is a fraud. So we'll continue talking about these people whom he had to assassinate or murder one by one to unmask his evil nature. So al-Nadr ibn al-Harith was of a very wealthy family. His family sent him to study outside of Arabia. So he went Persia to study and he spent few years there. That means this is equivalent to a rich family, let's say from the Philippines or a poor country or Africa. They send their son to study in the United States or in Britain. So they have to sacrifice a lot of money. They have to be very wealthy to be able to have him stay overseas for few years studying. And then when he comes back as a very equipped person, equipped with knowledge. And when you are knowledgeable and you speak with authority. And this man, when he came back from Persia as a learned person, he found out that Muhammad was starting to proclaim himself as a prophet. So he started to listen to him. When he listened to him, he thought, this is nonsense. All these stories, these are either from the Old Testament, New Testament, or the legends from the Greek or the mythology that were going around at this time, from Persia, from Greek, from Greece, from Rome, whatever, what have you. And some of it probably local, some from India also. So because he was a well-educated person, and he lived out of Arabia, he was aware of all these stories. So he challenged Muhammad. He said, you have nothing. He said, no, this is from God. He said, I tell you what, if this is from God, tell God this. If this is really from God, let God stone us from heaven. Otherwise, this is really not from God. So he challenged Muhammad a couple of times publicly, and that humiliated Muhammad. The second time he came to Muhammad, he said, okay, you say you are a prophet? He said, yes, okay. Explain to us the story of the people of the cave. This is in the Qur'an, that it's actually what I read about it. It is a story by the early Christians to make them stay strong in their faith. So Muhammad didn't know that, and he made it part of his Quran. In that story, there were 7 guys who were persecuted by the Romans, so they actually went into hiding in a cave. And then when they woke up after a few years. The system was changed, and they came out, and Christianity was accepted. That was a legend. That was like encouragement for the Christian. And their number was known, 7 people. And I think the movie The 7 Dwarfs by Walt Disney, I think it's based on that story. Anyway, he asked them how many were they. He didn't know how to answer. Anyway, he asked 3 questions. The second question was, what do you know about Alexander the Great? And the third question, what is the spirit, the soul, the spirit person? What do you know about the spirit? So Muhammad didn't know the answer to any of these questions. So what he said, okay, I will consult with God and Gabriel, the angel, and then I'll get you the answer tomorrow. Tomorrow passed, 2 weeks passed. There was no answer. At the end, he made up an answer, and the answer was a joke. And the educated people of Mecca, of Arabia, laughed at him because it was a joke. And that got Muhammad really angry. He had grudge against this man. The answer for the 7 people in the cave who stayed in the cave for a few years, he said they might, and this answer is supposed to have been from God, and I don't know if God forgot. The people in Arabia, they knew exactly how many. If you are an educated person, you know the legend and you know how many people they were in the story. It was 7. He said it might have been 4, and they had a dog, so that makes them 5. And it could have been 6 plus 1 dog, it makes them 7. So he was guessing. There is no answer there. And about Alexander the Great, he didn't know much about Alexander the Great. We know that Alexander the Great, he was not the most moral person. He was homosexual, and he was bisexual, and he was doing all kinds of stuff. All right. So he made him as a prophet of God. And he said he traveled all the way west until he came to the end of the earth, that he thought the earth was flat. And Alexander the Great went to the end, to the edge of the earth, and he found out and saw that the sun sets in like a pond full of water and mud, and next day it comes out from the other side. And this is his own imagination, and it's wrong. And then he asked about the spirit. The answer was, if they ask you about the spirit or the spirit world, say this is God's business, not your business. So practically the three questions that al-Nadr ibn al-Harith asked Muhammad, they had no answers. And that made him a mockery in Arabia in front of the educated people. And because of that, he felt hurt. And because he felt hurt, he decided to kill this man, al-Nadr ibn al-Harith. This is the second part of unmasking the atrocity that Muhammad had done. Thank you very much. We'll see you again.